Jacob Manu. Why won't you do it? Why won't you do it?
I think the caliber of linebacker that he's going up against in the country is just that's a far leap in my opinion. Like I just think that there are some dudes out there. There's just a lot of them that play the middle linebacker position at a high level, but Jacob is really, really good. Don't get me wrong. Like he could be all conference easily. And there is a scenario where if he balls out right, he could find himself on an All-American list. I just don't think he's there right now.
Now, keep in mind, last year, Pac-12 was loaded, and he was first-team all-conference at linebacker. I'm going to make the case. Over 120 tackles, 6 sacks. And so, again, what from a statistical perspective would you need for him to be in that All-American discussion? Because, again, we are driven. We are a statistics-driven society.
Yeah, impact. I think if he has the same kind of stats, but the impact is just significant, especially in national televised games, 1,000,000%. If you're playing against Kansas State, you're playing against, the bigger dogs. If you get to the Big 12 championship and you end up facing like an Oklahoma State, how do you hold up against Ollie Gordon? How do you hold up against some of those big time teams? When you face Utah, how are you holding up in those games? And if he can do that and he can show out, then 1,000,000%, he's going to get a lot of the attention. And we all know that a lot of this is also just the publicity of it, right? There's no reason at all why Travis Hunter, and he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he was also on one of the worst teams in the Pac-12 last year. Still gets a lot of love. He also got torched by T-Mac. Still gets a lot of love. They say his primary position is defensive back. Still gets a lot of love, even though he got torched by T-Mac. Miss that.
Now, you make a great point. The thing with Jacob Manu and all these guys is you're going to have games very early on in the season where you're going to be able to make that point. I mean, you're going to be on nationally televised games at Kansas State. There is a rumor going around that game's nationally televised since we're going to be there, but I don't know if that's the case or not. But either way, Kansas State, Utah, that's going to be those are going to be big games. And again, that's going to be where he's going to be able to make his mark. So I disagree with you, Saul. We will see how this one plays out, though, my friend. But
for sure. I mean, All-American is a big jump, right? Like first team all conference in the Pac-12. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But you're also going against teams, you look at the big dogs in the SEC and the Big Ten, you got to go up against those teams and what they have to offer at the linebacker position. And we know like some of these schools just pump out linebackers like they're like a candy machine. It's crazy.
Right. Now, think about it this way. We're literally having a debate. I actually was hoping you would disagree with me. We're literally having a debate about whether Arizona has 4 or 5 All-American caliber players on its team. On a roster of 22 people, the fact that we are even talking about this shows how far. I mean, Saul, we're only 3 years removed from a middle of a 18-game losing streak, whatever the case may be. So again, when we're talking about 25% of the starting lineup almost being an All-American, that's good stuff.